Welcome to Steve 87th, Puget Sound and Pacific Railroad.
Hi everyone, this is Steve 87th PSAP Railroad, or Puget Sound and Pacific. This is my channel, and I just wanted to invite you guys to come along and watch as I build my railroad, build up some kits, do some kit bashing, and running trains like the one behind me. So if this is what you guys like to watch, stick around for a while and see if you like the channel. So last night I was able to put on the doors. You can see how they fit in. Hard rock wall over there. Garage door there. Yeah, that looks a little bit bad because the you can see that the brick is kind of anchored, but luckily that's not going to be showing as a major pace. And you know, it is a paper building, so it's not that bad. And then we've got our other door over on this side. So now the next thing is I've got to figure out what to do at the top. So remember how everybody always tells you, keep your scraps, keep your scraps. So this happens to be the top if you're going to do the lumber yard with a building on both sides. So these are just about the right height. They're definitely the correct length. That will go all the way across the top. They just need to be painted. And they come with sides. Now, when I went and looked at the way the sides need to be, the way that they currently are is way too big. But if I go right up here, where this angle is cut at, I can take that straight up, and then that'll be the new ends of each building. So there's a lot more details I have to put on this. There's railings that have to go on. There's a little... I need to put a little bead all the way around here to signify that there's a step area for the water to collect onto and all. And then put some drains on. There'll be a little bit of roof detail put over here. And then I've got to do all of this and put the roofs together. So the first thing I'm going to work on today is doing the top section. And we also have to put the grain elevator together, or the bucket elevator together, so that I can position that and then modify the top to where those are coming in at. Okay, so that's what we're going to work on today. All right, so one of the things that I've found that's been really, really useful is I went to Micromark and got this thin T-square, not a square, okay? So it's really, really thin. It doesn't have that thick side. So what I'm able to do is on this piece of wood where I got to get that straight cut right up there, I can just come in here, put that right along that side, and then score my lines a couple of times and then be able to cut it. It makes it a lot faster. Now, one of the problems is we're not going to be exactly the same height now because we've changed the height of the building. Okay, so that's not going to be too bad of a thing. Just snap those off. You can see here there's not a whole lot of difference. We can make that up by just putting a board across the top. And then we've got our roof section already done. And again, this is going to be cleaned up and painted, so it'll be fine, right? We just put another board over top of there, just like we have a board along here running on the bottom. Okay, now one of the things that's going to be fun is cutting these out. So what's going to happen is, so right now those are all meant to be windows. Well, we're not going to have windows up in a place like that because nobody's going to be working up there. So what we need to do is we're actually going to make these into vents. So we're going to get some ventilation type things. We also have to cut a door into this so the guys can actually get into here at some point in time. And then there's going to be an access hole on where the elevator will come in to dump into the shaft, or the conveyor belt that's in there. So let me go ahead and cut the other one up and do some gluing together, and then get some other cuts done on this one, and we'll be back. All right, so now to make the louvers, I actually have what looks like a scale louver right here. So when you look at this closer, you can actually see it's really kind of like triangles set in there, or it could be like clapboard siding. So this is some thin-sided clapboard siding, which is Evergreen Models 4081 with .08 spacing, right? So that's pretty small. It would be a normal clapboard probably for an N scale house, but we're going to use it in HO scale. So here's a nice easy trick to make it easy. These have all got recesses in them, which is going to make it easier to glue everything together. So the first thing you want to do, this is why you need some nice calipers. My digitals aren't reading right now, but you take the inside reading in here for this, and that actually transfers out to the outside reading. So you get the same exact positioning. So the good thing is then you can come up here along your plastic and you can actually mark it with your digital scale. So now you've got marks. So the next thing you want to do is just come over here, line the marks up. Yeah, sometimes it's a little hard to see. One mark there, one mark there. Take your score lines, score it just a couple of times. Break that, and we'll come back here and we'll see that that will fit right. It's just a little big, it looks like. So one of these is off. So these are just a little bit off. But when you put it in on this side, when you see it on this side, it's going to look like a ventilation duct or a ventilation area. Okay, so now we'll go about and cut each one of these to the right length that they need to be, which again, we've got a good section in here. We just make the measurement, come up, strike the line, cut it, and then we'll repeat that a few times. And I'll come back and show you what the product looks like when we're done. All right, so I went ahead, had to modify these just up a little bit, but you can see here, those look pretty much like vents once they get all in the windows. So those will basically fit one vent on each side over each one of the tanks. So as the gravel and all that's going in there, the dust and all could come out. So we can weather this up a little bit to make it look like there's dust that falls out of this all the time. Plus it also gives you more access into the beltway that's in there. Okay, so now the next thing, I'll finish off the other parts of those, and then we'll figure out cutting in a door. Okay? Okay, so the next thing we have to do is we got to put a door in one of these ends. I put that end together because I want to find out what the distance is so I can get the right cut on my plastic that I need to go there. So again, going back to this spur that I have, one of the nice things about some of the Walters kits, as a matter of fact, a lot of the Walters kits, they give you extra stuff in every one of them, depending upon how you're supposed to make it. Because sometimes they just print out the entire spur when you only need one or two pieces out of it. So that's why you want to keep all these things, because look at all these windows that are here. Like I said, the ventilation duct. I got double doors, I got single doors. So I decided I'd take one of the single doors, again with a window in it, and we're going to use that. Now the only problem is this is meant to be a door that goes in the side of a wall higher, so it's got the bottom lip on it. So we're just going to take that off real quick so that we have our door. The other nice thing about this is this door is going to be recessed a bit because it doesn't have a frame all the way around it, but we can always do that with this kit to put in a door. The only other bad thing about it is that they are really, really thick. So we'll just take a little bit of that off of there, make that nice and straight, come up here. We can see the door is going to go just about up to the joist, which is about where we want it to be. So we'll center it. We'll make that easier. So I'm going to go ahead, do all the dimensions and the cuts, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. You guys have seen enough plastic cutting. These are always a little bit more difficult because you have to try to cut through and then somehow break it out of the top. Okay, so I'll be back in a few. All right, now that we've got that done, we've got the door ready to go. This has all got to be painted. That took a lot of sanding and filing to get the door in to where its place is going to be at. But it looks pretty good. We'll paint all that up along with the side walls, and we'll figure that out. And then we'll get the one strip that's got to go up there. All right, so I've gone and assembled the top hat without putting anything in it because we're going to paint that first before we put the shutters in. And with the shutters, there's actually a little thing that I want to try to do to make this look a little bit better. This is going to get 2 coats of paint. One coat is going to be from one side so that it's all dark, and then the other coat will be the normal size. Okay, so the next thing that happened was, since this is kind of a scratch garbage build, again, not getting rid of the stuff out of kits, is the roof. Okay, so the roof is actually the Plastistruct roofs that you get if you do any of the Plastistruct things like my engine house that's on this layout. The good thing is it had to be a little bit smaller, but you get to have all these little tiny pieces. And what are these pieces going to be good for? These pieces are going to be good for awnings in different areas. So one of the problems with this, and you can see here what's nice, is it's already slit down the center. Right, so it's got a center groove. So that's going to make it easy for me to bend that in half to make the roof line. Now, one of the problems that happened is I have 1, 2, 3. 3 doesn't quite make all of the roof that I need. Right, so I have to cut a 4th piece. But that 4th piece isn't too big. However, to make this even easier, if you look at the gap that's going to be left by that roof section, it's fairly close to the size of what this is going to be. So in order to make this all work really simply, and so that I can cut out what I need to, the roof section is going to be in the center area that's going to be short, and we will put that wherever we need it, and then that's how we'll base where we're going to put our elevator. So it's kind of a weird thing, but it just makes it all kind of simple. Sometimes it's easiest just to let the model tell you where things are going to go, rather than make it harder on yourselves or you know, make your own judgment calls. There's still a lot of things that need to be done on this, and unfortunately I'm not going to be able to finish this today. I've got to put guardrails around the areas, and unfortunately hobby shops are not open today because I found out I don't have any of my guardrail. I was looking around and I have ladders, but I don't have guardrails. So this wine will probably wind up having a ladder on it on this side as well. This door is actually going to be on this end, so that you can get to it from a ladder on this side. We'll come up. So the guy can get into the door up here, so we'll put a ladder on that. We'll need a ladder to get up to the roof. I'm not sure where that's going to be at. There's going to be electrical and probably another electrical conduit that comes down into the mechanical room. Might be just right along there. And then plus I need to put in some ventilation on the rooftop over here. I've got all those things, but those are all little details that I will get to. So the next thing I need to do is figure out how big it is my roof needs to be. Again, having leftover items is great because you just constantly have parts that you can reutilize in different areas. Again, this being another one of those great things that you can utilize. And we probably are not going to put downspouts on this area. We will put downspouts over here. So I'm going to go up, figure out what my roof section height has to be, and then make that all happen. The funny thing is, though, is that when I paint this, this is actually going to be a forest green. And then I have to do kind of an orange trim on where the boards are going to be at. And I also have to put in some corner boards on the ends to make those look not log cabinishy. to make this kind of all flow together. The reason this is going to be green and orange is because that's the color that the actual concrete company is. And since you get to see this, I'm figuring that the green and orange is much better than orange and green with green trim. So let me get this all together. I will figure this out and I'll show you kind of what the results are before I get to the railings. Okay, so now I've cut and glued the roof together. It's just glued together on butt joints. One of the things I wanted you to know is that when I cut the roof, I cut it so that this was centered. So then it was really easy to just bend it to the pitch of the roof that it needs to be on. Now, once you get that there though, since that's unnatural for the plastic, it does want to come back. So what I did was I just put a bead of glue down that center section to hold it where it's going to be at. So as soon as this glues, I can put that roof on to check to make sure that that's where I want it to be at. And then on top of it, I got nice little shed roofs now that will work just as well for some other things. And then I had to kind of change up the way that I was going to do this. I still don't know exactly where I'm going to put these things. So what I think I'm going to do is I am going to figure out the angle of the roof and cut this to the exact angle that it needs to go through into the roof. So that will make that nice and easy as soon as I figure out where the roof is going to be placed and so forth. The good thing is, and I still have to do that last little piece of plastic strip, which I'm going to do now, and then we'll take it out and we'll paint it. All right, so I'm at several stopping points here. We've got some work to do down here with rails, and I can't get the rails until Monday or Tuesday. We've got the top done, it just needs to be painted, but my other problem is this gap here. I also need some strip wood for that. The strips that I have are just too big, and trying to cut those down or sand them down is not going to work, so I got to get the right size of strip to put in there. And also this is too long to cut out of a single sheet of styrene because it just starts twisting. Okay, and then again I said I've got to do the rails. I don't have rails, I got to get those. I may have to order those, but we're this has come along quite a ways. I'm probably going to paint these, and I'll go ahead and paint those up, which are the shutters that go in the inside. I can't finish painting that because I don't have that top styrene strip, so you know that's kind of a bust as well. So other than that, it's going to be kind of a break on this until I get the stuff, and then I'll get back to you.
Okay, that's going to do it for this week's installment. Sorry it was kind of cut a little bit short. This shed wasn't going to be able to be finished because, well, there's no close hobby shop to me. My closest hobby shop's just kind of closed. And so I don't have the plastic and all to finish it. But we're going to go ahead and next week, we're going to go ahead and show you how we build the grain elevator, and then hopefully put the details on there. You'll see how it's all painted. You'll see how I did the ventilation to put on the sidewalls. And hopefully that might be the last one, but I think there might be one more just to kind of keep the amount of time it takes for me to watch these out there a little bit lower. Okay, so thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll get another video out next week to do a little bit more conclusion on this. All right, thanks for watching.